Hi everyone, my name is Christina and I'm an implementation consultant at Prosymmetry. In this video, I will be reviewing understanding and updating resource capacity. I'm going to review the out-of-the-box capacity calculation, how to create a new resource and define their capacity, offsetting capacity with calendars and admin time, the auto-calculate function between time and FTE, and finally, how to bulk update your capacity for your resources. First, let's look at the underlying calculation for capacity in Tempus. This lives in your admin settings tile. Then click on General Settings, and then the Unit Settings tab. By default, the per day capacity calculation is that 8 hours a day equals 1 FTE. This can be changed if you need to for your organization. Just keep in mind, it would change all future created resources, not ones that already exist in the system. Now let's look at how to create a new resource and define their capacity. Let's go to the Resource Management tile and click Create Resource, and I'm going to select the standard resource option. First, we'll give our resource a name. We'll make sure that the Has Capacity option is toggled on, and then you can define their capacity date range. Typically, the capacity start date will be the day they start at your organization, and we recommend that the capacity end date is pushed a few years out into the future. That way you don't run out of time to allocate this resource to your projects. And then click Create. You can see here in their capacity screen that this top grid has automatically populated that this resource has a capacity of 1 FTE per month. And if I switch this time granularity to day, I can see that 1 FTE persists for the daily time granularity. And if I switch to time, I can see that that has translated to 8 hours per day. But as you just saw, we can toggle this capacity grid to FTE or time and view it as different time granularities like day, week, or month. You can also see here the ability to add calendar time and admin time to a resource's capacity grid to offset their base capacity and create a net capacity. Essentially, this is to block off time for them where they won't be working on projects. For example, I could add a 2024 holidays calendar to this resource, and we can see, for example, as an example, I can add a 2024 holidays calendar to this resource. And you can see, for example, in November 2024, that has added 16 hours of non-project work time reserved for those holidays, creating a net capacity for that month of 152 hours. Additionally, I can choose to add different admin time types like jury duty or PTO to this resource, and individually define the hours within the capacity grid where that time should be blocked off to create a net capacity. Both the calendars and admin time types are created in admin settings. So if I go out to the home screen and click on admin settings, I can see the admin time tile as well as the calendar management tile where I could, as an administrator, create those fields that I want to be able to pull into my individual resource capacity screens. Let's go back to an individual resource capacity screen to show you some other options. Another option you have within the capacity screen is setting default hours or FTE depending on the unit you are toggled onto. This is helpful if, for some reason, a resource works a different default capacity than your other resources. You can currently see that Allison is set up to work 8 hours per day, but maybe she's a part-time employee and she only works 4 hours per day. I can do that easily to change her default capacity across the entire date range by clicking Set Default Hours, entering 4, and clicking Save. Here is where I want to point out that in doing so, if I toggle onto FTE, it still remains at 1. This is by design because organizations may have different definitions of what 1 FTE means to them. You could keep this just as it is and have 4 hours a day equal 1 FTE for this resource, or when I toggle back to time and I click set default hours and enter a 4 again, before I click save, I'm going to turn on auto calculate FTE. Click save, and then when I toggle on to FTE, you can see that the FTE has been divided as well. In this resources capacity screen, you will also see this cross-project allocation grid at the bottom. This is going to show you all of the projects this resource is assigned to. If this resource is assigned to a team, you will also see that represented here. You are able to view this grid by different time granularities here, as well as different allocation units here, like time, cost, FTE, FTE percentage, and even man day. You can change the date range you are filtered to by clicking on options and changing the date range here, or using this quick date filter. And at the bottom of this grid, it will show you for each month, or whichever time period you toggled onto, what is this resource's total allocation and net availability, meaning their capacity minus any allocations. Lastly, let's look at how you can update your resources capacities in bulk. I'm going to go back to the resource management grid with my list of resources. You may want to use this bulk capacity update feature as a way to extend out resource capacity date ranges in bulk for those resources who may be coming up on the end of their capacity date range. So I can see represented here with this resource capacity end date I brought in as a column that I have 2 resources who will be nearing the end of their capacity date range in late 2025, but I know that I need to be able to assign them to some projects in 2026 and beyond. So I want to extend out their date range. Rather than clicking into each individual profile and extending it individually, I can do this in bulk. All I have to do is select each profile, and when I select multiple people, the bulk capacities option will appear. We can see here that each of these resources capacity date range ends December 2025. So if I want to extend this beyond that date, I will go ahead and enter 1 FTE for each resource, grab both of them, and copy across the months that I want to extend this capacity to. So I'm going to extend this out to December 2029. And before I click save, I'm going to turn on auto calculate so it does the calculation for me to convert that FTE to hours, and click save. Now, when I go back to my resource screen and pull up one of their profiles, I can see if I toggle this onto month that their capacity has been extended all the way through December 2029 for FTE as well as time or hours. This wraps up understanding capacity in Tempus and how to update your resources capacity. I would encourage you to read the Help Center articles on this important piece of Tempus as an additional resource. Thanks and have a great day.